Strip away the cities, the power grids, and the medicine. If you trace everything humanity has built back to the very beginning, you land in a landscape where we had almost nothing. Without technology, the human ancestor is a remarkably vulnerable animal. We lack fur for the cold, the speed to outrun predators, and claws to defend ourselves. In this vacuum, we were entirely at the mercy of natural elements. Our first response was a sharpened rock. Invented over 2 million years ago, these early stone tools were simple, just rocks smashed against other rocks to create a crude cutting edge. But that act of deliberately shaping a tool for a purpose was a turning point. It was the first time we manufactured an advantage that our biology didn't provide. Every piece of technology you own today is a distant descendant of that initial decision to stop being a victim of the environment. Fire wasn't exactly invented, but it was tamed. Learning to control it allowed humans to inhabit climates they had no business surviving in. More importantly, cooked food made nutrients easier to absorb, providing the surplus energy that fueled the growth of the human brain. Much later, we turned that same ingenuity toward our biological fragility. Starting with Edward Jenner's smallpox vaccine in 1796, vaccination became a way to train the body against invisible threats. This single category of medicine is credited with saving 3 million lives every year and is responsible for wiping smallpox off the map entirely. But we also faced the tragedy of memory. For most of our history, human knowledge lived and died with the individual who held it. Every death was a reset for the species. Written language changed the math of human progress. It meant knowledge could outlive its creator and get passed to strangers, allowing discoveries to accumulate across generations. By the 1400s, the printing press broke the elite bottleneck of hand-copied texts. What once took a monk months to reproduce could now be printed by the thousands. This mass production meant ideas could finally travel faster than the people carrying them. It gave the scientific revolution the momentum it needed, because humans could finally build on each other's work in real time. Fire, vaccines, and the written word were the first major weapons we deployed to conquer the limitations of our own lifespans. We also lived under the constraints of geography and the sun. Distances isolated us, and when it got dark, human activity simply stopped. The wheel, invented 5,500 years ago, provided the mechanical base for conquering that distance. It didn't just make travel easier, it became the foundation for the gears and mills that would eventually drive the industrial world. In 1876, the telephone collapsed the barrier of auditory distance for the very first time. Suddenly, conversation no longer required two people to be in the same room, or even the same country. By the year 1903, the Wright brothers proved that humans could finally fly. In the century that followed, aviation shrunk the entire globe down to a matter of hours. Electric light broke our dependence on the solar cycle. It extended the human day, allowing for 24-hour factories and entire economies that simply couldn't exist in a world lit only by oil lamps. Together, these inventions neutralized the Earth's scale and rotation, turning a collection of localized tribes into a globally connected species. By the mid-20th century, we hit a physical limit of scale. Early computers required massive rooms, immense power, and miles of cables just to perform basic calculations. The transistor, developed in 1947, solved this by shrinking the hardware. It performed the same job as a bulky vacuum tube, but in a fraction of the space. This miniaturization is what allowed millions of components to eventually fit onto a single silicon chip. Every smartphone and internet connection in the world today traces back to that single breakthrough in physical size. The digital revolution was, at its core, a victory over the physical space required for logic and calculation. Every invention on this list, from the first stone axe to the modern computer, exists for one reason: to bridge the gap between what our bodies can do and what we need them to do. The technologies we are developing now, like artificial intelligence and gene editing, are part of that same ancient pattern. AI is a tool targeting our cognitive limits, while gene editing is our latest weapon against the fundamental boundaries of our own DNA. We don't have the historical distance yet to know which of today's breakthroughs will define the next century. If the past is any guide, the invention shaping our future is likely already in use, waiting for us to realize what limit it removes.